There is something deeply strange about how the human heart works. It does not chase safety or peace. It chases intensity. Because intensity makes us feel alive, even if it slowly destroys us. And the most dangerous kind of intensity is not anger or fear. It is love that never gets to fully exist. Because unfinished emotions stay longer than completed stories. This is Ren, and this is not a story about how he became famous. This is the story of how he lost himself trying to feel something real. Because before everything happened, before the music, before the chaos, before the fame, he felt absolutely nothing inside. And sometimes all it takes is one person to turn emptiness into something so intense that it changes your entire life forever. Ren was surrounded by people every day. But being surrounded does not mean being connected. And connection is what makes life feel real. He watched emotions like an outsider, as if happiness, sadness, excitement all belonged to another world. One he could see but never touch. He tried to express himself through music, but his voice carried no weight. Because people only listen when they feel truth in your pain. And nothing hurts more than being ignored, because it makes you question your own existence. He realized something that night. Being invisible is worse than being rejected, because at least rejection means you were seen. He tried to write about pain, but imagination cannot recreate something you have never experienced. Then someone said something simple, but it planted a dangerous idea inside his mind. Great artists are born from heartbreak. And that sentence slowly became his belief. And once the brain accepts a belief, it starts shaping your decisions to prove it right, even if it leads to destruction. So he made a silent decision to find pain, no matter what it would cost him. And then he saw her, and something inside him shifted in a way he could not explain. Era was not calm or predictable. She was full of chaos and life. And humans are naturally drawn to what they cannot control. He did not understand why he kept looking at her, but the mind is curious about what feels different. And strangely, she noticed him. Not because he tried to impress her, but because he didn't try at all. And that small moment created a connection. Because shared laughter lowers emotional barriers instantly. They started spending time together without purpose. And unplanned moments always feel more real than perfect plans. They created memories in the most ordinary places. And sometimes ordinary moments become unforgettable. Because when two people feel free together, their emotional bond deepens faster than they realize. And silence between two people can either feel uncomfortable or deeply peaceful. And theirs felt peaceful. This is where attraction begins, not in words, but in hesitation and unspoken tension. And slowly his plan changed. He no longer wanted pain. He started fearing losing her. But she carried a truth he did not know. Something that would eventually break everything. Because the most intense connections are often the most temporary. Reality arrived without warning, and it shattered everything he believed in. She was getting married, and in that moment, his world stopped moving. Shock does not feel loud. It feels like silence swallowing everything. She could not choose him, because life is not always built on what we feel. And heartbreak feels heavier when surrounded by celebration. He watched the person he loved become someone else's forever. This was not just heartbreak. This was losing the version of himself that existed with her. The brain replays memories, because it refuses to accept loss immediately. And sometimes pain becomes so deep that it cannot even be expressed. And this is where something inside him broke completely. Pain demands an outlet, because if it stays inside, it slowly consumes everything. So he poured everything into words, turning emotion into something tangible. Ren disappeared, and something new took his place. His voice now carried truth, and truth connects deeper than perfection ever could. because people do not connect with skill. They connect with emotion. And suddenly, he was no longer invisible. He became unforgettable. Attention replaced loneliness, but only on the surface. Success came fast, because authenticity is rare in a world full of masks. But fame cannot fill emotional emptiness. It only hides it temporarily. Because emotional memories are stored deeper in the brain, making them almost impossible to erase. He was not performing for the audience. He was reliving his pain again and again. And pain became his identity, something he could never separate from himself again. Just when he thought he had learned to live with the pain, life brought her back again. She was not the same. Time had already taken something from her. Unfinished emotions always remain beneath the surface, waiting for a moment to return. And closure is something humans deeply crave, even if it comes too late. And reality revealed itself in the most painful way. She was slowly fading away, and there was nothing anyone could do. The second loss always feels heavier, because now you understand what you are losing. He realized too late how deeply he loved her. And regret becomes unbearable. When combined with love, she wanted to leave peacefully, without being remembered in pain. Time slows down when you are about to lose someone forever. And then suddenly, everything ends. And silence takes over everything. Shock protects the mind for a moment, before reality fully hits. But eventually, the pain arrives completely. This was no longer heartbreak. This was permanent absence. And from that pain, something eternal was created. He no longer sang songs. He expressed everything he lost. Because humans naturally mirror deep emotions. Pain became who he was. He became unforgettable to the world, but completely alone inside. Because love never truly leaves, it stays in memory forever. And silence becomes louder than applause. He asked for pain, and received eternity. And some memories never fade. The world celebrated him, while carrying a love that could never return. And that is the price of becoming unforgettable. Some people don't become legends because they win. They become legends because they lose everything.